Welcome to Voices in Health and Wellness. This is the podcast where we sit down with practitioners and clinic leaders to explore what's working and what's really happening behind the scenes. I'm Andrew Greenland, founder of Greenland Medical, and I'm the host of this show. Today, I'm really thrilled to be joined by Dan Landgre. Dan is a licensed psychologist and psychotherapist based in Lund, Sweden, leading his own practice, Dan Landgre AB, with a strong clinical background and a deep commitment to patient-centered care. Dan brings a thoughtful, grounded perspective to today's conversation. Dan, a very warm welcome, and thank you very much for joining us on the show this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. So maybe we could start at the top. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey into psychotherapy and what inspired you to leave behind the purely clinical path to build your own practice in Lund?
Yeah, actually, it's really going back to being a seeker and starting a meditation practice, mainly Zen Buddhist meditation in the early 80s. And also, of course, my own working with my own problems in my life and finding a cure for that. So it made me interested in psychology. So I went to Lund University and got my psychology and became licensed psychologist and mainly interested in psychotherapy. And in 90 no, actually in the beginning of the 2000s, I found something that's really this is something very special, I think, and it's the combination with the Zen Buddhist philosophy and psychological work, and that was Genpo Roshi, my current Zen master, Zen teacher, and with his big mind process that really combines these two strands, actually, you could say, and interestingly enough, from working just mostly clinically with all kinds of problems, depression, relational problems, anxiety, and all the usual. As a psychotherapist, it's been growing over to working with people that's also really into this, what we call spiritual emergence, right? Where they have kind of awakenings, but connected with problematic symptoms. So it's like a combination of, like you could say, pathological stuff and awakenings, insight into the broader spectrum of consciousness. And there's been more and more of those kinds of patients, and some who are very deep into meditation is really working on their awakening process. And that's also really where I'm heading more and more. So, of course, my frame of reference for psychology has been transpersonal psychology since early on, since the 80s, really. I guess you might be familiar with Ken Wilber, the philosopher who built this theory. Now I'm missing you. I don't know if you hear me.
I can hear you okay. Have you got me?
Yeah. I can't see you, though.
Oh,
there you are again.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So where were we?
You were just talking about Ken Wilber.
Yeah. And he was really, in the 80s, my theoretical guru. I mean, because he was really combining the psychological developmental theories with the spiritual journeys and the transcendental wisdom, the perennial philosophy, and that's been very important for me since then.
Amazing. So I don't know how long you've been doing this work or how long ago you established yourself, but what was your vision for this when you first launched, and how has that changed?
I guess when I first launched, it was rather early on. I wasn't even finished with the university, really. I had the end thesis still working on that one. but it was, contacts, colleagues, a psychologist like myself. He really wanted to get me into their business. They had a business and with clients. So I established rather early this, but then it was mainly, of course, finding the ways to help people heal, and then it's it's been changing and work. I mean, back then I was merely psychodynamic. My frame of reference was mainly psychodynamic, and after that I've been incorporating cognitive stuff, and then also meditation, and also hypnotherapy, and different modes, different technologies, psychotechnologies, really, and moving over to what does my client really need. Today, I think it's really it's been synthesized in a way. It's got to do with your relation to your heart, and really loving yourself, and coming to peace with yourself. So it's merging, like in the awakening, you say you come to your true nature when you wake up, in enlightenment and all the fancy words we have for that. It's got to do with getting to your true nature, right? Becoming one with yourself. But what is that? What is that? That's really, that's really loving yourself. That's becoming one with love, and then and that is really the synthesis of that is all getting peace, getting to peace with yourself, right? The conflicts in your mind, that really is the basis for all kind of ills. Psychological and somatic also, is because it's stress in the system, with all these conflicts. So we have to alleviate the stress in the system, and then we have to reach peace with ourselves. With these conflicts need to get settled in ourselves. So it's having a dialogue with all the parts of yourself, right? And mainly what my clients, what they most all of them have in common is not liking all of themselves, right? they have it can be all different, really spite, really contempt for themselves, to different levels of that, of course, of not liking that part and not liking that part, and so on. And as we know, when you have that, you also project it, of course, out into the world, and put it on other people, and which creates a mess for yourself and for others.
Mm-hmm. So when a client rings up and says, "Oh, I'm just finding out whether I'd like to work with you," how do you encapsulate what your approach is? Because everybody has a different sort of a way of tackling things. You've got a sort of eclectic mix of things that you use to help patients. But how do you tell people in a nutshell what it is that you do and what your approach is for somebody who doesn't know very much, just so that our listeners get an understanding of what your kind of offering is?
Yeah, in a nutshell. Coming to peace with yourself, mainly through finding out how you get into conflict with yourself, and through meditation, which helps you become more aware. These are that's the basic, really.
Got it. Where did you find most of the early traction in terms of the people that sort of tended to come to you or reached out to you, or you found you could really help as you started out? What's the sort of, I know you probably see a whole raft of different complaints and different problems, but is there a kind of a real focus of where things go wrong for people, where your approach really helps?
Relational problems, for a start, but also, also for anxiety and depression. I wouldn't. It's really broad. It's a broad spectrum. It's not just this clinical group, so to speak. It works for many kinds of ailments, I would say.
Would you regard your approach as quite unique in the sort of psychotherapeutic realm? Because
I have no idea.
No, I just wondered in terms of the industry of psychotherapy, because I just wondered, are you doing something very different to what other people are doing? I guess I'm trying to ask.
It seems like most of my colleagues work in a different way, but I don't know. I don't know really. I also know there are several, but maybe more on an in my international sangha, there are several psychotherapists, and I guess they work more similarly to me. I'm part of a Swedish sangha. Sangha, is a Zen Buddhist community, right? And I'm also part of an international sangha. It's mainly based in the US, but also in Europe. So we're kind of a virtual sangha, and there are many therapists there, and I guess many of them work like me. So, but in Sweden, maybe not so much. I know a few, yeah, that do that. But if you generalize, probably most of my colleagues, I mean, the Swedish psychologists, right? They probably don't work like I do, I guess.
Okay. And how do you attract your clients? I mean, you've probably been established, you've been working for a while. I guess word of mouth is a big thing, but do you do anything specifically to attract new clients, or do they just find you?
They find me. Nowadays, I don't do any marketing. Mm-hmm. I'm on, there are certain sites which are actually for free, mm-hmm. where people can find a psychotherapist, and I am on them. They can find me there. And I was for a while chairman of the board in the Swedish how would you translate that? The main clinical body for hypnotherapists, if I put it that way, mm-hmm. In Sweden now. So of course I'm on there too, so people find me that way too. But I mean, I've been working as a therapist for more than 35 years. Wow. So it's mainly word of mouth, and it's a really big chunk of students, which I love to work with, at the university in Lund, where I'm partly situated. My practice is there. It's virtual and it's there, but and that's the Lund University, and mm-hmm. they have a program for becoming a psychologist, and and they are supposed to do some therapy for themselves. So I have a bunch of them, the students, and it's lovely to work with them, really.
Carry on.
I guess you feel the same. I mean, you're no youngster anymore, so I mean, the feeling of being like a mentor, being able to give to the young people is kind of a special treat, I think.
So this is not necessarily teaching per se, but they have to do this as part of they have to basically have therapy themselves to understand the process and go through the process themselves.
Yeah.
And are you noticing any patterns in terms of, speaking about millennials, because I guess we're talking about that particular age group, are there any particular patterns or problems that are particular to millennials, or is everybody having exactly the same problems, throughout the different ages?
Interesting question. It's a good question, but I guess I haven't reflected on it really. Mm-hmm. I maybe start from another note, that many of them now are already doing meditation and are interested in meditation. But it could be that I see them because they find out on my website that I'm also a Zen Buddhist monk. Mm-hmm. And so that way he's interested in that, and that's good for me. That's what I want. So maybe I see a certain clientele. Is that the word you use? Clientele?
Yeah, clientele. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Sorry, carry on.
no, shoot.
I was just going to ask another thing. I was going to say, are you a one-man band in your practice?
Yeah.
I was just going to ask what sort of operational challenges you have running a one-man practice in today's age, because obviously you've developed a client base over many, many years. I guess you're very, very busy. I just wondered how it all kind of works from a one-man perspective.
It works fine. I don't know. Maybe it's got to do with my own process over many years. I mean, I started meditating 45 years ago, and it's brought me so much happiness and joy and coming to peace with myself, obviously. I don't know if I dare say it, but I don't have much challenges really. It's a lovely life. I mean, if you don't look at Gaza and Ukraine and all that, which makes your heart bleed, of course, and you cry from it. But otherwise, I can't say I really have any challenges, other than I'm a bit split because I have my practice in Lund, but I'm talking to you now from Småland. That's like 230 kilometers north of Lund in Sweden, out in the rural area, mostly forests and meadows around, and it's beautiful. And I love it here, right, with the nature. So I want to be here, but many clients want to meet me in person, and so I have mixed feelings. That's a little challenging, having mixed feelings about where should I work? Should I go on? I guess I'll be moving up here eventually.
Nice. Do you have any plans to grow, expand? I mean, obviously you're a one-man band, you'll have everything wrapped. I just wondered if you have interest in sort of taking people on and having apprentices and kind of spreading your approach wider, or whether you're just happy doing what you do.
I'm happy doing what I do, and I very much nowadays I take one step at a time. I'm here, right, and then things come up, and things did come up here because we built a Zendo, part of the old barn. We renovated and built a house inside the barn where there's a Zendo and 2 small bedrooms and a kitchen and bathroom and so on. So hopefully there will be clients coming, groups doing retreats, both working with just meditation and awakening, but also with confronting the shadow sides, all right, and working in a group setting. So I would love that to take speed. Maybe. We'll see about that.
Okay. And do you have any immediate plans for what you want to do in your clinic and your practice over the next 6-12 months? Or is it just more of the same and just kind of rolling on?
Well, it's just what I said, that maybe having groups, up here at workshops with groups, that might be otherwise carrying on. I love to meet my clients. I like to meet my patients. I love my work even more now. I'm partly retired, but so I work 3 days a week. So it's like a perfect life right now.
Very nice. And I mean, this is an industry where there's an awful lot of burnout, I'm guessing, but I suppose that your approach and the Buddhism that comes into this is your way of self-care. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, definitely. I'm much into self-care. Yeah, and that's what I try to teach also, of course. Yeah.
Wonderful.
It's all got to do with self-care, really. How are you about that? How do you meditate?
I do. I'm probably not to your level, but I certainly do, and I I practice what I preach. So all the things I get my patients to do, I'm kind of doing myself. I look after myself. I try to get the best possible quality sleep. I try to keep stress to a minimum. I exercise. I eat well. All the things that I tell my patients to do, I'm doing to some degree. I'm not perfect by any means, but I do practice what I preach. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. The same here. Yeah. Very good to hear.
Thank you. And on that note, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Very interesting conversation. Glad to hear about what you do and your approach. I'm sure this will be something that will resonate with other people listening to this call. But yeah, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I'm happy you found me.